evidence. Former U.S. President and Republican presidential contestant Donald Trump has said he will seek the prosecution of Google if he wins the November 5th polls.
Trump vows to seek criminal charges against Google if re-elected president. Are Google and Meta putting their influence on the scale to tilt the election in Vice President Kamala Harris's favor? Recent accusations have surfaced that these tech giants are manipulating search results to favor Harris while burying or distorting content about Donald Trump. Even when you try to specifically search for issues relevant to Trump, Google's algorithms have steadily suppressed favorable articles about him and instead flooded them with information that supports Harris. This worry is further stoked by the obvious bias of the mainstream media. The media's ridiculous attempt to dominate the narrative is evident in their unrelenting attacks on Trump and their excessive praises for Harris. So, let's have a look at what's going on and why Donald Trump vows to prosecute Google if re-elected. The manipulation by Google. There is increasing worry that Google is swaying public opinion in favor of Kamala Harris by manipulating its search engine. Search engine bias claims are becoming more widespread. According to a number of studies and publications, Google's algorithms are allegedly set up to favor Harris-related information while stifling those who criticize her. One study conducted by the Media Research Center found that when searching for information about the 2024 presidential race, articles about Kamala Harris would often appear at the top of search results, even when users were specifically looking for content related to Donald Trump. As expected, negative stories about Kamala Harris were either buried or not visible at all, while any criticism of Trump was prominently displayed. Now, if you can recall, the main reason why Elon Musk bought Twitter was to expose such issues. He may have had other issues on his agenda, but this one was definitely a priority. So Elon recently revealed in public that when he searched for Trump rally on Google, Kamala Harris's profile was the first result. In order to highlight the ridiculousness of the situation, Musk mockingly said that Google must believe that individuals searching for Trump must be really interested in Harris. These findings strengthened the mounting suspicion that Google and other tech giants are exploiting social platforms to manipulate public perceptions of the news in order to sway public opinion and shape political outcomes. Despite these accusations, Google has repeatedly defended itself, claiming that its search algorithms are neutral and simply reflect user interest. The company argues that its algorithms prioritize what it considers to be the most relevant and popular content based on search trends. According to Google, if Kamala Harris appears in searches related to Trump, it's because more people are searching for her, not because Google is manipulating results. The company also pointed out that its algorithms are based on complex machine learning systems designed to surface the most useful information for users. However, this is a convenient way for Google to cover up the more insidious nature of its control over information. Google's immense influence over what information gets seen and shared is a powerful tool that can easily sway public opinion. Whether on purpose or not, Kamala Harris appears to be disproportionately favored in the platform's search results, while anything connected to Trump is either hidden or made less visible. This calls into question the extent to which big digital companies shape democracy and whether these digital giants should be permitted to have such unbridled influence, particularly in election years. How Google and big tech control the narrative. Large tech businesses like Google have tremendous control over the information flow, which gives them the ability to quietly sway public opinion and affect political results. Multiple research projects have indicated that these platforms may not be as unbiased as they claim. For instance, the Media Research Center has shown how Google's algorithms frequently favor left-leaning politicians, like Kamala Harris, in search results. According to their research, searches pertaining to political issues or candidates frequently turned up good news about Harris, while concealing or downplaying negative information about her. Meanwhile, negative stories about Donald Trump were prioritized, feeding into a broader narrative that casts him in a continually negative light. There are many other posts that echo these concerns, highlighting how Google's manipulation of information goes beyond mere coincidence and could be part of a broader effort to influence the election in favor of progressive candidates. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris's team seems to be working overtime to ensure her public image remains spotless. Reports have surfaced that her campaign is systematically scrubbing her old posts and controversial statements from social media, a clear attempt to rewrite her political history. Whether it's an awkward stance she once took on immigration or a poorly received speech, her digital footprint is being cleaned up to project a polished, almost too perfect image. This practice of deleting old content raises questions about her authenticity and whether voters are being given an accurate view of her record. While it's not uncommon for politicians to curate their image, the sheer volume of content being erased suggests a deliberate effort to erase her missteps from public memory. There is no denying big tech's role in shaping the story, because social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Google dominate public conversation. They have the authority to determine whether news are shared, hidden, or noticed at all. These businesses control the discourse on important subjects like elections by using algorithms that can highlight particular content and conceal other facts. Without most users even recognizing it, these platforms have the ability to affect public opinion through methods including algorithmic bias, selective censoring, and the prioritizing of particular political ideas. This level of control over information dissemination is unprecedented, and it's increasingly clear that big tech companies are using it to promote their own agendas, often aligned with progressive politics. Searching for anything related to Donald Trump on Google these days is like trying to find a picture of Donald Trump in a stack of Kamala Harris press releases. It's as if Google assumes that what users really want is endless content praising Harris or attacking Trump. This obvious bias not only undermines the credibility of these platforms, but also exposes the lengths to which they'll go to push a specific narrative. With the growing influence of big tech on elections, it's clear that the platforms tasked with providing information are becoming tools of manipulation rather than objective sources of truth. The desperation of media giants. The desperation of media giants to prop up Kamala Harris has reached absurd new heights, as illustrated by the New York Times jaw-dropping endorsement titled, "The Only Patriotic Choice for President, Kamala Harris." Let's be real for a moment. With Kamala's low approval ratings and visible struggles on key issues, this kind of glowing endorsement feels more like satire than serious journalism. It's almost as if the editors forgot that patriotism isn't defined by blindly supporting a politician simply because they're from a favored political camp. The headline alone makes you question whether the New York Post is running a news operation or a fan club for Kamala Harris, considering that Harris has repeatedly struggled to connect with voters and has been largely absent on the major issues plaguing the country. Calling her the only patriotic choice is not just a stretch, it's laughably desperate. This kind of over-the-top endorsement isn't isolated. Across the board, the mainstream media seems to have abandoned any pretense of objectivity. Major outlets have taken to openly campaigning for Kamala Harris while relentlessly attacking Donald Trump. Whether it's fluff pieces promoting Harris's vague promises or full-scale hit jobs on Trump for the slightest misstep, it's clear the media is no longer interested in balanced reporting. Instead of questioning Harris's track record, these outlets seem more focused on selling her as a savior in waiting. Meanwhile, Trump can barely catch a break. They are turning even the most mundane of his actions and spinning them into full-blown scandals. It's hard to believe these are the same news organizations that once claimed to serve as neutral watchdogs for democracy. The irony of the situation is that many of these media outlets still claim to be objective. They hold on to the idea that they're delivering the news fairly while pushing out headlines that sound like they were written in Harris's campaign headquarters. How can you seriously claim objectivity when your editorial content reads like campaign literature? It's gotten to the point that it's not even funny anymore, where every article on Kamala feels like a glowing review, while anything about Trump is written as though the world might end if he steps foot back in the White House. The bias is no longer subtle, it's glaring. Trump versus Kamala, media's contrasting treatment. It is difficult to overlook how differently Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have been covered by the media. Under Trump's leadership, the nation made great advancements. Trump's economic policies caused unemployment to drop to all-time lows, especially in minority neighborhoods. His tax policies encouraged expansion, and deregulation made it possible for companies to thrive. Along with strengthening national security, Trump's border control measures included lowering illegal immigration through initiatives like the Remain in Mexico program. With no major wars started and de-escalation attempts made in places like North Korea, the United States was able to keep relatively calm on the international scene under his direction. Even with these observable achievements, the media never stopped focusing on little matters, such as his tweets, instead of the larger consequences of his policies. In sharp contrast, Kamala Harris's vice presidency has been marked by rising chaos, most notably in immigration. Harris was tasked with controlling the escalating immigration crisis, but under her watch, illegal crossings have surged to unprecedented levels. The border is in disarray, with communities overwhelmed by the influx of migrants, and the situation shows no sign of improving. Yet the media gives Harris a free pass. Instead of holding her accountable for this ongoing crisis, they shower her with glowing coverage and portray her as a strong leader poised to fix the very problems she's helped exacerbate. In this media-driven contrast, Trump is treated like a villain for his successful policies, while Harris is given a hero's welcome for failures she can't hide. It's nearly hard to take the mainstream media seriously today because of how obviously biased they are. Google and other large tech companies need to answer for their part in influencing political narratives. Their unbridled ability to dictate what information the public is exposed to has detrimental effects on democracy. In the absence of accountability, they can carry on censoring speech and manipulating search results, unfairly favoring one political party over another. Prosecuting Google is necessary not just for Trump, but to ensure that all voices have a fair platform in public discourse, free from manipulation and bias. So, what's your take on Google's influence? Do you think it's time for big tech to be held accountable? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.